Okay. This is slightly a response to some videos that I've been watching, and also just sort of I've been meaning to make another one for a while and I haven't really got around to it. I've said this before, but I'm kind of returning to it because for me it's like such an important part of this whole thing, which I think people incredibly overlook and don't think is important. And it's the whole sort of thing of a person with X will look like Y. Okay, they will look a certain way. And that's really not true. That's not true at all. And this kind of the thought that you have to look a certain way to be diagnosed or to be taken seriously or something, I think is responsible not only for letting a lot of people get a lot worse than they maybe would have done, but also letting it carry on for so much longer. Because it's completely wrong that you must look a certain way to be anorexic or bulimic or any of those things. That's completely wrong. And I cannot emphasize enough or strongly enough that point, because that is, I think, the most important thing. I mean, if someone turns around to you and says, "Oh, do you know what? I'm really not feeling well," you don't need evidence. You don't need to see spots and a streaming nose and stuff. If someone says to you, "I don't feel well," then fine, they don't feel well. If someone turns around and says, "You know what? I'm really struggling with eating, very illogical thoughts and obsessions," they can weigh 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 90 pounds, whatever. The weight is completely unimportant. And I just kind of wish that not necessarily, people who are suffering, with it need to understand that, but also those around them really need to understand that, because it's incredibly hard to admit you have a problem if those around you kind of don't feel there's cause for concern unless you're falling in between a certain sort of diagnostic criteria. And for somebody who's trying to open up and talk about it for the first time, to have someone turn around to them and say, "Oh well, you're not actually underweight, so you're fine, it's not a problem," that can be completely earth-shattering to them, and they may just not talk about it anymore, and their problem is not going to get help, and they're going to get worse until they end up in hospital because they've got to that underweight, low weight, whatever, when they were already asking for help in the first place, and it's incredibly frustrating. I went to the doctors the other day, and I told her about my slight issues with bowel movements, and she asked me, was there any eating habits or anything that could be leading into it. And I told her, I was like, yes, I've been diagnosed anorexic with bulimic tendencies, and I'm actually seeing something for that. And she looked at me and said, "Oh well, you look very slim and thin, but you look healthy, so I'm sure it's fine. Just try and drink more fluids." And I was like, thanks a lot. It's taken so much for me to even get to the stage where I'm willing to admit I have a problem, that people turning around and saying to me, "Oh, you look healthy," that's not helpful at all. And I wish people could understand that the way you look has nothing to do with it, and I just wish that I could, drum it into people's heads that looks mean nothing, and it is a mental problem. You know, it's completely internalized, and the way you look just happens to be a result of the internal problem that you're dealing with. So basically, that's what I wanted to say today.